There was a time when the dinner hall wasn't just about food, it was about survival. You'd queue up with your metal tray, eyeing the steam rising from mysterious dishes, wondering what culinary adventure awaited. The dinner ladies wielded their ladles like weapons, dolloping portions with military precision whilst you hoped for something remotely edible. If you remember these 10 school dinner classics, then you're a true survivor of British institutional cuisine. Don't forget to hit subscribe, give us a like, and tell us your horror stories in the comments. Turkey Twizzlers and the Great Meat Mystery. Before Jamie Oliver waged war on school meals, turkey Twizzlers ruled the dinner hall like benevolent dictators. These spiraled sausages were the closest thing to fast food you'd find on a school plate, and kids would actually get excited when they appeared on the menu. They were processed beyond recognition, stuffed with more additives than actual turkey, yet somehow they tasted brilliant. Crispy on the outside, mysteriously bouncy on the inside, they were served with a mountain of chips and beans. You'd untwirl them slowly, savoring each bite, because you knew tomorrow might bring something far more sinister. They were discontinued in 2005, but for 70s kids, they represented the golden age of school dinner indulgence. Spam fritters, the pink horror. Nothing struck fear into young hearts quite like spam fritters appearing on the menu board. These battered rectangles of processed meat were the stuff of legends, and not the good kind. The spam itself was a lurid pink color that seemed to glow under the dinner hall's fluorescent lights, whilst the batter was often soggy, creating a texture that could only be described as disturbing. Yet somehow, covered in enough tomato sauce, they became almost palatable. The dinner ladies would slap them onto your plate with a wet thud, and you'd stare at them wondering what crime you'd committed to deserve this fate. They were cheap, filling, and probably contained every preservative known to mankind, making them the perfect institutional meal. Liver and onions, the great divider. Few dishes divided the dinner hall quite like liver and onions. You either loved it or you'd rather starve, with very little middle ground. The liver arrived looking like leather shoe soles swimming in gravy that could strip paint, accompanied by onions that had been boiled into submission. The smell alone could clear half the dining room, whilst those brave enough to tackle it would chew and chew, their faces contorting with each bite. Teachers would patrol the tables, insisting you couldn't leave until you'd finished, leading to epic battles of will. Some kids became experts at hiding pieces in napkins or feeding them to the school cat. For those who actually enjoyed it, they were either very brave or had taste buds made of steel. Mince and Dumplings, the safe haven. When mince and dumplings appeared on the menu, collective sighs of relief echoed through the school. This was proper comfort food, chunks of beef mince in thick gravy, topped with fluffy suet dumplings that soaked up all the flavor. It was hearty, warming, and actually tasted like something your nan might make on a Sunday. The mince was usually swimming in gravy thick enough to stand a spoon in, whilst the dumplings were like little pillows of stodge. You'd break them open, watch the steam escape, and feel genuinely satisfied. It was one of the few school dinners that felt like real food rather than a science experiment. Kids would actually ask for seconds, and the dinner ladies would beam with pride at finally serving something that didn't require bribery to eat. Semolina, the lumpy nightmare. Pudding time should have been the highlight of any school dinner, but semolina turned dessert into a form of torture. This pale, porridge-like substance arrived lukewarm with the consistency of wallpaper paste, often featuring mysterious lumps that defied explanation. It was served with a dollop of jam that looked like a sad traffic light in a sea of beige. The texture was the real problem, neither liquid nor solid, it clung to your spoon like cement while somehow being completely flavorless. Kids would stare at their bowls in despair, trying to work out if mixing the jam through would improve things or just make them worse. Some claimed it tasted better cold, but that was like saying a punch in the face hurt less if you saw it coming. Corned beef hash, the mysterious medley. Corned beef hash was the ultimate mystery meal, a combination of ingredients that should have worked but somehow didn't quite come together. Chunks of corned beef mixed with potato, onion, and whatever vegetables were lurking in the kitchen, all fried up into a peculiar pink and brown mixture. It looked like something that had been scraped off the playground, yet it wasn't entirely unpleasant to eat. The corned beef gave it a salty tang, whilst the potato provided bulk and the vegetables added color if nothing else. Some days it was crispy and golden, other days it resembled cat food. The dinner ladies treated it like their signature dish, serving generous portions with pride whilst kids poked at it suspiciously, never quite sure what they'd find next. Tapioca pudding, frog spawn special. If semolina was bad, tapioca pudding was positively evil. These little translucent pearls floating in milk earned the nickname frog spawn and struck terror into children's hearts across Britain. The texture was indescribable, each pearl would burst in your mouth with a disturbing pop, releasing a starchy flavor that somehow managed to be both sweet and utterly bland. Served cold from industrial-sized tins, it would wobble ominously on your spoon as you contemplated your life choices. The dinner ladies insisted it was nutritious and delicious, but kids knew better. Many developed elaborate strategies for disposing of it, from sneaking it into plant pots to trading it with a few strange souls who actually enjoyed it. It was pudding's revenge on childhood innocence. Cheese and potato pie, the comfort champion. Amidst all the culinary chaos, cheese and potato pie stood as a beacon of hope. This wasn't fancy cuisine, just layers of sliced potato, cheese sauce, and sometimes bacon, baked until golden and bubbling. It was simple, filling, and actually tasted like something you'd want to eat. The cheese sauce would be properly cheesy, the potatoes tender, and the top would have that perfect crispy chewy texture that only institutional ovens could achieve. Kids would actually look forward to cheese and potato pie day, knowing they'd leave the dinner hall satisfied rather than traumatized. It proved that school kitchens could produce decent food when they stuck to the basics. Even the most suspicious eaters would clean their plates, and asking for seconds wasn't considered social suicide. Jam Roly-Poly and Custard, sweet salvation. When jam roly-poly appeared on the pudding menu, it felt like Christmas had come early. This cylindrical sponge cake, rolled around jam and served with proper custard, was comfort food at its finest. The sponge was light and fluffy, the jam was sweet and sticky, and the custard was thick enough to coat everything in golden goodness. You'd slice through it carefully, watching the jam spiral revealed like a beautiful sunset. The custard would pool around it, creating the perfect sweet ending to whatever horrors had preceded it. It was proper British pudding, unpretentious, warming, and guaranteed to put a smile on even the most miserable face. Kids would actually fight over the end pieces, which had extra jam exposure. Fish fingers and the Friday ritual. Friday meant fish fingers, and fish fingers meant the week was nearly over. These breadcrumbed rectangles of processed fish weren't gourmet cuisine, but they were familiar, reliable, and actually quite tasty when done properly. Crispy orange coating giving way to flaky white fish inside, served with chips and mushy peas in the time-honored British tradition. The dinner ladies would arrange them precisely on your plate, usually 3 fingers, though generous servers might sneak in a 4th. Kids would eat them with their fingers despite stern warnings about table manners, dipping them in tomato sauce and feeling genuinely content. They represented everything good about institutional catering: simple, satisfying, and impossible to get catastrophically wrong. Fish Finger Friday was a reward for surviving another week of educational torture. These weren't just meals, they were rites of passage. Every British kid who survived the 70s has stories about dinner hall disasters, mysterious meat products, and puddings that defied the laws of physics. They taught us resilience, lowered our expectations, and somehow made us appreciate proper cooking when we finally encountered it. If any of these brought back memories of metal trays and dinner lady hairnets, share your survival stories in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more nostalgic British experiences.